The numbers are segmented and they are fictitious.
I started my career in 1997 in the United States Border Patrol. It was one of the most violent times in recent Border Patrol history. I made my bones and my reputation on that border. I believe what is happening on the border today is intentional.
We have people in the United States of America that breed children in order to sell them.
Our own government is facilitating the absolute destruction of the American immigration system, and I can prove it point by point. I'm unafraid to speak the truth. This is just data-driven and experience-driven.
It is my testimony that the border is secure.
We have a secure border in that is a priority for any nation, including ours and our administration.
We have taken unprecedented action over the past year and a half to secure our border.
And we have a process in place to manage migrants at the border. We're working to make sure it's safe and orderly and humane.
The border is closed.
We agree that the border is secure.
We're executing a comprehensive strategy to secure our borders.
One of our highest priorities is to ensure that we have a secure border, and that is what we are doing.
The border is secure. The message is quite clear. Do not come. The border is closed. The border is secure.
In less than an hour, Donald Trump's DHS Secretary pick, Governor Kristi Noem, will appear before the Senate Homeland Security Committee and is expected to face questions about, among other things, the border.
This comes as outgoing Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas defends his time on the job, saying, quote, "The border right now is more secure than it was at the end of 2019. There are differences of opinion on many complex and challenging issues. Immigration is no different in that regard."
Former Obama DHS Secretary Jay Johnson joins us now. Is that true? That statement. Is the border more secure right now than 2019?
If you look at the numbers of apprehensions, yes. 2019.
The message is quite clear. Do not come. The border is closed. The border is secure.
Secretary, do you not, put the politics of the election aside if you want. Do you not look at the immigration issue in this country and what has transpired over the last 4 years, given the number of people coming into this country illegally, given the firestorm that this has created, the national dialogue about it, given some of the efforts, frankly, by the administration, especially early on, to be more lenient than they had been? Do you think none of those things, if you could go back, you would do differently?
Look, Andrew, yes, and you have to understand something, and the message is quite clear. Do not come. The border is closed. The border is secure.
Department of Homeland Security is not particularly old, but you already have what I hope will soon be the distinction of succeeding the worst secretary in the history of the Department of Homeland Security. Alejandro Mayorkas has been an absolute disgrace to that department and frankly to this country. And the
message is quite clear. Do not come. The border is closed. The border is secure.
The border is secure. Welcome to Truth with JJ Carrell. The border is not secure. And today, another 5,000 illegal aliens crossed the border, were arrested, then detained, then processed, and then released into America. Tomorrow will be the same. Sunday will be the same. And Monday till noon will be the same. Will be the same. The border is not secure. The border has not been secure since the day one that Joe Biden took office. From the first day that Joe Biden took office until present day, 5 to 20,000 illegal aliens that we know about that are accounted for. have been arrested. Let me repeat that so you have a context of what I'm saying, or you can reiterate this. 5 to 20,000 illegal aliens cross the border every single day, day after day after day after day after day for 4 straight years under Joe Biden. Let me put that into context, because I think sometimes we get caught up in numbers, millions, billions, trillions. We don't even, it just flies over our head. I live in Kansas, right across state line, Kansas City, Missouri, home of the Kansas City Chiefs, which my wife was a chief at. Kansas City Chiefs play in Arrowhead, and that place is rocking. Many of you have been there, and I'm sure everyone has seen a highlight clip of Patrick Mahomes throwing a bomb or running crazy and throwing a touchdown to win in Arrowhead. Arrowhead holds approximately 70,000 people. Let's just say 70 is a round number. I'm going to be very generous and conservative here and say the average crossing the border has been about 10,000 a day. When you average out the millions that have been arrested and released in America, and the millions that have been flowing in, and the millions of gotaways. I'm being extremely generous, extremely conservative. Day one, January, I think it was 2021 of, January 21 of 2021, Joe Biden takes office. It was the 20th or the 21st, takes office. 94 executive orders are cascaded down, obliterating the border, open it up complete, wide open. And that first day, I go down to Arrowhead Stadium right at midnight, and I open the southern gates and I flood Arrowhead Stadium for 7 straight days at 10,000 a clip. In 7 days, I have Arrowhead Stadium packed. 60 to 80% of everyone in that stadium are single adult males. I have thousands of terrorists. I have tens of thousands of criminals and gang members, and the other 20-ish% are women and children, and 60 to 80% of them have been raped or sexually assaulted already before they got into the stadium. I will have Chinese, Russians, Haitians, Venezuelans. I will have 180 different nationalities out of 195 nations on planet Earth inside that stadium. On the 7th day at midnight, I walk to the north end of that stadium. I swing open the doors and I push all 70,000 of those illegal aliens out into Kansas City, Missouri, and they scatter to the 4 corners of America. At the same time, at 12:01, as I'm emptying the stadium, I do not close my southern gates. In fact, I'll leave them open. In the next 7 days, I pack Arrowhead Stadium to capacity again. And at the 7th day at midnight, I open the northern gates again, and I flood America with 70,000 more illegal aliens. And then I do it again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, for 4 years straight. Does the invasion seem more real when you talk in terms of football stadiums filled with people? At the same time the open border invasion is going on, we go to the big house, the University of Michigan Wolverine Stadium, and I packed that place 5 times. 5 times. And on the 6th time, I pack it to half capacity. How many seats are in the big house? 100,000. And in 4 years, I packed the big house 5.5 times. I want you to picture the big house. They call it the big house for a reason. It's enormous. Maybe Logan can pull up a picture of the big house. Maybe even go, yeah. What are the 550,000 individuals that I'm talking about that pack the big house? Those are babies that just came out of the womb, the vaginal canal. Babies, brand new little pink, beautiful babies to 17 years old. Logan just pulled up. That's Arrowhead. Can you pull up Arrowhead? You see that stadium? Every week, 70,000 people get jammed in there. And on the right side of the stadium is the south side. I bring in 10,000 a day on the north side. I let them flood out. 70,000 people in that stadium come into your nation, the United States of America, with no vetting. We have no idea who they are. Zero ID. Can you pull up the University of Michigan Stadium? And I think this is important to put these numbers into context when you hear the border is secure. No, it's not. Who are the 550,000 people I'm telling you about in the big house? I told you they're babies to 17 years old. They are all titled in a category called unaccompanied alien children, UACs. That is the big house. Now, I want you just looking at 75% of the big house. Now, I want you to envision that stadium right there does not have 100,000 men and women. No, that stadium has babies, 4 and 5 year olds, toddlers, young teenagers. I'm giving you a picture of one stadium, one time, not 5, one time. 60 to 80% of those children jammed into the big house, all 100,000 of them, 60 to 80% have been raped or sexually assaulted before they ever got to America. Little boys, teenage boys, have been orally and anally raped. Young girls, babies, 3-year-olds. Logan, you pull that picture up one more time, just so I want my audience to understand. I want you to understand what your government has done. 100,000 little children. You have a young girl, probably 9 years old, in that stadium that has anal, vaginal, and oral tears from being raped. Young boys forever destroyed, being anally penetrated by savages south of the border. And before you begin to say, well, thank God that's south of the border. No. I'm going to put a big picture and big mirror in front of you, and I want you to look at it. Because you are America, and I want you to understand what Americans have done. Every one of those kids in that stadium holds 100,000. I want you to think of 5.5 times that. That is how many children our federal government has brought into America and lost them all. Donald Trump has been quoted multiple times, and I pray that he's right. I pray that what Donald Trump said is correct, and his statement was, quote, a lot of them are already dead. Now, why would I want children to be dead? I would rather those children die and be in heaven with God than to be subjected to the moral evils of child rape. Let me put this even further into context. And I don't really, if you don't like this, turn it off. I don't care. But you become part of the problem because you become silent and complicit. Your willful ignorance will not fly as you stand before God. It won't. I pray God's merciful on my soul, but I hope he's judgmental when it comes to this. Why would I want those children to die or to be dead? Let me explain to you what's happening. If I'm a cartel member that focuses solely on narcotics, which I have been for over 100 years of the United States Border Patrol, we never got involved with human smuggling. Never. It's dirty. It's expensive. It's a lot of spoilage of our product. But because Joe Biden has removed all of the obstacles to transport children, both across the border and into America, because the contracts through the NGOs become the smuggling arm of the United States Border Patrol and the government. So when I take little Juan that has already been sexually destroyed, 5 years old from Guatemala, he was trafficked here by Save the Children, which Jill Biden was on a board of directors. Just a side note. Save the Children is being sued, has been raided by the Guatemalan government. The Guatemalan government, through the Attorney General, is putting pressure on Texas to stop taking their kids and losing them because they have lost over 212,000 of their Guatemalan little boys and girls into America, and they can't find them. I take little Juan from Guatemala, 5 years old, and I chain him either with a physical chain or rope down in a basement or a side room, and then I have my way with Juan, and I film child pornography. And then if I get creative, and I want more money, then I will sell Juan to other monsters. So instead of being a narco smuggler and selling a package or a hit or a vial of cocaine or heroin, and that junkie shoots it into their veins or they snort it through their nose, that heroin and that cocaine disappears. I cannot resell that cocaine. However, I could take Juan's little body for almost the same cost or maybe more than the heroin, the cocaine, and I could turn little Juan around and around and around and around to up to 20 times a day. I can take a young girl at 13, put her in a hotel, and have 40 men run a train on her at $100, $200, $300 a pop. Do the math. Do the math. OSHA's not coming in to make sure the little 13-year-old girl's getting her 15-minute water breaks, a chance to use the restroom, gets overtime pay. No, that's not how it works. That little girl from Ecuador or Sudan or Germany or Australia or name it, she's going to work and she's going to be raped until she can't take it anymore, and then they'll just bury her carcass. And your federal government has done it all of it. That traitorous bastard that was on my screen, Mayorkas, that little mouse of a man, allowed it all to happen. All of it. Not some of it, not a little bit, all of it. Under President Trump, who was still dealing with President Obama's insane policies that were forced into law and could not be challenged correctly. President Trump was dealing with thousands of unaccompanied alien children, but it was tightly regulated. There were sponsors, but sponsors were vetted. Sponsors had DNA tests. Sponsors had welfare checks. The moment Joe Biden took office, those policies disappeared. And in his first year in office, instead of Donald Trump having 20,000 UACs crossing the border, Biden had over 120,000. If you think, let's stop for a second. Let's say I was president and I wanted open borders like Mayorkas and Biden, and I was a traitor. And Mayorkas came into my office and he said, President, we have a side issue on our open border policy. We are trafficking or bringing in children from babies all the way up to 17 years old, and we have surpassed last year's complete total by almost 10 times. Don't you think there would be a roundtable discussion of how we're going to handle this? How are we going to stop this? No, they didn't do that. They doubled and tripled down. The next year was 130,000. The following year was 140,000. He's at about 150,000 this year. And let me be very clear so you understand exactly what I'm saying. 80% of the border is unmanned. There's no one guarding the border. It's never been done in a 100-year history of the United States Border Patrol except the 4 years under Joe Biden. Thus, the 550,000 number is a joke. A very sick joke, but it is a joke. I want you to double or maybe triple that number. And that is the real number of UACs that have crossed the border. Where are they? Where are all the children? How do you hide 550,000 children? How do you hide 1.5 million children? You don't. You don't. They're in plain sight. You just don't know. You're too busy. You think your neighborhood's immune. It can't be happening in my neighborhood. I live in an upscale neighborhood. Oh, really? In Texas, there's an organization called Shepherd's Watch. And Shepherd's Watch has undercover players that locate large child sex trafficking rings and then get all of the evidence and everything nice and tight and turn it over to the district attorneys. And this is in Texas. And I'm talking to one of the undercover people, and she says, we are taking down entire hotels, entire apartment complexes, and we are taking down large mansions in Texas. And they just turn the hotels and the mansions into brothels for young girls. I'm not saying young women, which is bad enough, but there's a choice that some women take. I'm talking about girls that are being sold. You can't have sex with children. It is called raping children. Words matter. So let's make sure we're always using the correct terminology when describing a certain evil. The borders are not secure. Right now in America, we are standing right now at over 50 million illegal aliens inside America. How do I get that number? I wrote this in detail in my book, Invaded. And I'm going to give you a snapshot of how I got to that number. In 2019, Yale and MIT did a study, and I don't need Yale or MIT to do anything for me. I know what the number is, but it's an academic exercise that everyone in the media and the politicians agreed upon, right? Okay, so let's use their number. Yale and MIT did a study in 2019, and they pushed all the demographic data into an algorithm, and they ran it 1 million times. And after the millionth time, the height of illegal aliens living in America was 29 million in 2019. They came to the mean, the average of 22 million. And everyone agreed. When's the last time any of the people agreed on anything? So why would they agree on that number? Because that number was grotesquely conservative, but let's use it. That is 22 million in 2019. In 2021, when Biden came in office until when he leaves in 3 days, he will have arrested 12 million illegal aliens and another 18 million have crossed the border and absconded, making 52 million. Now let's say that I'm wrong, and I'm not. But let's say that I'm wrong. Let's go into unicorn and rainbow land called fantasy land and believe that the federal government is telling us the truth. And let's use their data from their websites. We have 22 million already on the books. Joe Biden has admitted to arresting almost 12 million, releasing them at a 95 to 97% rate, which means the ones that are deported just cross the border through the open sieve. So let's use 12 million. We're at 34 million. 34 million. DHS has openly admitted to 3 million getaways. That everyone in the business just laughs at that. It's so absurd. The real number is 15 to 18 million. But let's say their 3 million is what stands. So now we're at 37 million. It has been proven through tracking charter airplanes and commercial flights, through websites and through people that know and understand flight patterns and have dug into the numbers and have done research on certain airlines. You can find this at MonkeyWorks podcast, and another gentleman has dug deep dives and sent me all the information, and I trust him. And CIS.org has done demographic studies, and they have taken FOIA requests, and the federal government has admitted to flying in over 400,000 illegal aliens into America, releasing them, and not even claiming them on any category. People that do the tracking of these planes believe the numbers are in the millions. But let's just play very, very conservative and say 1 million. We were at 37 million. 22 million at the beginning, 12 million caught and released is 34 million, 3 million absconding, 37 million. And we are going to add another million, and I am being like Santa Claus generous, 38 million total. If you do not want to believe me, fine. You want to live in fantasy land, fine. You want to believe that the federal government, the same government that created COVID, launched it on us and then lied about it and then forced us all to take a drug that doesn't work, the same government that has bankrupted us into the tune of $35 trillion that we're only aware of. It could be up to $210 trillion in debt, trillion with a T. The same government that interned Japanese, the same government that created and helped facilitate the AIDS virus, the same government on the war on drugs that sides with certain cartels over the other, the same government that put us into endless wars in the Middle East, eclipsing $8 trillion, the same government that sent $200 billion to Ukraine, the same government that spent hundreds of billions of dollars to secure foreign nations' borders, to build border walls and barriers, and yet gives no money to our Border Patrol. That same government. You want to believe them? Go ahead. They believe it's 38 million. I say it's 50, 52. Are you okay with 38 million illegal aliens living inside your walls? Are you? That's what I thought. So when you hear the borders are secure, that is a lie. An absolute lie. We are the most vulnerable we've ever been. in the history of America. We are about to see and experience that vulnerability, and it's going to shock every American. Buckle up. When I talk to you about our government lying about the open border, lying about COVID, lying about monetary supply, lying about everything, why would you stay undiversified, if that's even a word? Why would you be not diversified in your money? I'm trying as fast and hard as I can to diversify my money, because my money is tied to the federal government as my pension and my 401k is. But I have reached out to Wes Peters at Swiss America Precious Metals. Swiss America Precious Metals. You can call them at the number that's on the screen, or is going to be on the screen in a second. You can text Wes. You don't have to call him if you don't want to. And you just ask for information, and he will send you information. And then you call him back and you say, okay, I think this is what I want. And you talk to him about it. And then you guys come to an agreement of what's best for you, not what is best for Swiss America Precious Metals, but what is best for you. And then you go forward with that. No hard sales, no hard pressure. You cannot trust your government. You just can't. And just because Donald Trump is in office, or will be in 3 days, you have tens of thousands of bureaucrats strategically placed throughout all the departments and agencies that hate America and want to sabotage everything we are trying to do to get us back on track. We have fires raging in Los Angeles with no cell towers, no cell coverage. You have places in Hawaii and Maui, they don't even exist. It's just burnt to the core, and all the big money people are coming to buy it up. North Carolina, they're living in just random shacks. You have the governor of California walking around the war zone of Pacific Palisades and has no cell service. Why does he not have a sat phone? Why would you not have a sat phone? You think those people in Pacific Palisades, and I know people from Pacific Palisades, some good, some repulsive Karens. Do you think they woke up that morning and thought, you know what? Today everything's going to be so hot, it's going to be on fire, that it's going to melt my house, melt my car, and melt the cell towers, and I won't be able to find anybody or talk to anybody. No, I bet you they didn't say that to themselves. But I bet you they did say, why was I not prepared? Why didn't I have a sat phone? Why didn't I not have a generator? Why didn't I have a million other things? Sat123 sent me so many products. My wife loves her Faraday bags because she is always worried about people stealing her information on her phone and credit cards, and she has a Faraday pack. Sat phones. You get a sat phone for free when you order or subscribe to the monthly service, just like you do Verizon or T-Mobile, whatever. And that right there is on the screen is the backpack with a ballistic shield inside of it. And don't tell me you don't need that. In this sick world, we're going to talk about the inauguration here in a few minutes. Everyone is getting very, very anxious about what's about to happen. I want you to think about, we don't think about them enough, but right now, sitting in a jail cell are hundreds of January 6ers. And I bet you they are having prayer groups, even the ones that are so angry at God, and I don't blame them for being angry at God, or at least having severe discussions with God about why you're allowing this to happen to me, this unjust political sham that I'm rotting in jail. My prayer is Donald Trump blanket pardons that whole group of people. I don't care. This was entrapment. And why am I talking about January 6th besides the obvious that we need 3 days and these men get to go home to their families? Oh my gosh, can you even imagine? But when you stop and you think of someone like Colton Maccabee, that was a sheriff, went there, helped the police, and got thrown in jail for 70 months. He is going to come home to his beautiful wife, Sarah, in Tennessee. Is he going to their same home that they built that is familiar? No. Sarah had to sell that house to afford attorneys. They'll be going back to a new house after being incarcerated for almost 3 years, if he's pardoned. He will be going home with a large amount of his, quote, friends gone because they abandoned him in his time of need. I want you to listen to part of an interview that I did with Sarah Maccabee that is in the vault, and I am jamming that vault filled with incredible interviews that are intriguing, shocking, entertaining. I hate to even use that word for the subjects that we're talking about, but they are entertaining because they will grab you and you will not be able to move as you sit and listen and watch hours of these interviews. Join the vault, worldviewtube.com/JJ. Let's listen to Sarah.
I mean, you know, I look back at when I say Colton is walking out to everything has changed. I mean, very early on in this, I had a best friend of 26 years that was very good friends with him when he came into my life, and like to the point that he was a best man at his wedding. And I asked him, like, to the point that we have pictures of us in diapers together, like our families were family friends with them forever. And I called and I said, hey, would you come to this bond hearing and would you testify on behalf of Colt? And he agreed initially, and the night before I got a phone call from him. And he said, I'm getting a little nervous about this because of what they're saying in the media, you know, and all of that. And I was like, it's a bond hearing. They're just going to ask you what you know about this man. Nothing about January 6th or thus thereafter. They're going to ask who you know Colton Maccabee to be. And I remember this just absolutely vividly. He said, well, what will happen if I don't come testify tomorrow? And I said, you know, I just never thought that would be a question. If you don't show up tomorrow, I will never speak to you again. And I hung up the phone. And do you know, 10 minutes before the bond hearing, the investigator, not even himself, the investigator came out to me and said that Matthew Carswell was not going to testify on his behalf. 26 years of friendship.
Yep.
Completely wiped away because of the lies.
You want to hear more about Sarah Maccabee? You want to hear some more truth? That interview dropped yesterday. It's on the vault at worldviewtube.com/JJ. It is riveting. Sarah Maccabee is a determined, articulate, beautiful woman. They mess with the wrong woman. They are going to get their pound of flesh when this is over. I believe it. My money's on her. Liz Cheney, crybaby Adam Kinzinger, Benny Thompson, all of you scumbags need to have your asses arrested and thrown in jail. Every last one of you. You knowingly held a sham trial and hearing. You did it. And you're guilty. And I hope you all pay a heavy, heavy price. I needed my pillow. I need to lay down sometimes during the day when I'm watching or pulling together my show, and I'm like, I need a nap. Even it's 5 minutes just to stay away from the incessant negativity, the treason, the absolute abomination what's happening to America. And I fall down on my bed that has the sheets and the pillows, wearing my slippers. I kick my slippers off, and Mike Lindell's everywhere in my house. Mike Lindell, sheets, towels, you name it, it's there. And I don't mind it because he's a patriot. He has an incredible story of redemption and success, and he employs a lot of Americans because he makes his product here in America. MyPillow.com, use promo code JJ. I'm going to change gears just for a second. Everything's tied together, right? Nothing is in a vacuum by itself. Nothing. Everything's tied together. But I did see this. It's just I was looking at material to talk about today, this morning or last night. I start prepping the night before, and then I follow up all the way up to the time that I go live and just have what I want to talk about. And I saw this, and for whatever reason, well, there's a lot of reasons, but it grabbed me. This video grabbed me. And what was the video about? It's actually, I think, an attractive young lady, even though she has that bull ring in her nose, which is extremely unattractive. But it was interesting she put a video out of about 2 minutes, and she is talking about the lie that women her age in that generation, even my wife's generation, lied to about what men want from women, how men want women to look like, that the lie that we want women that are in the workforce. Because all men, this is what we grow up. I'm going to tell you what we do. When we grow up, we talk about what our wives are going to look like and what they're going to be like. You know what we say? We want a woman that's tied to a career, that has to answer to another man that is not me. She has to ask that man when she can have days off. That man's going to tell her she has to work overtime. She can't make dinner for the family and the kids. She can't clean the house. She can't partake on certain activities on Saturdays because she is going to have to work to meet a deadline. That is our dream as men. It's not have a partner, have a woman that will bear our children, carry our name, not a woman that will keep a house clean, organized, financially straight, so that when a man comes home to provide for his family, he has peace in his house and his family. The dynamic is natural. God's natural order. You don't have to like God's natural order. I don't care. I really don't. You live the life you want to live, that's fine. I'm just saying the truth. There is an order, a natural order in the universe. You don't think that's true? Well, let's go back. Let's go back in a time machine to the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, even the 90s. 2 family households. You can live off one income. Obesity didn't exist. Mental illness was not a thing. Families were not in disarray. Kids could play in the neighborhoods no matter where, inner cities or in the suburbs or rural America, no problem. Walk to 7-Eleven a mile away on the countryside road, no problem. Crime was, crime's always going to have crime, but nothing major. Divorce rate was down. Out-of-birth wedlocks were down. Killing babies was not a prerequisite to being a woman now in America. There was natural order, and life was clean. It was efficient. It was beautiful. It was safe. And people were happy. Now let's fast forward to today and tell me how happy the women are. Tell me how happy the families are. 50% divorce rates, 75 illegitimacy rate in Black America, 50% for Hispanics, and whites are 25 and growing every day. Young women have sexual body counts in the teens. Just so you women that are watching, that is unappealing to any man. Unappealing to any man. There is a shift happening in America right now. We have a segment on this show called the Dad segment. We talk about the responsibility of being a father. And that falls in line with responsibility for being a husband. You are to provide and protect. That's what you do. But masculinity has been demonized. Women think that they don't need to have men, so they have become more masculine. Masculine women, you have been lied to. No one finds that attractive except maybe a very, very strange subset of men. And when I'm talking strange, I'm talking small. 1%, 2% max. Good luck finding your match amongst 2% or 1%. I want you to listen to this woman's video. It's funny, but more it's sad. And to see the light bulb go off in her mind as she's speaking, that everything that she has been told and forced or encouraged or propagandized to believe is a lie. I found this fascinating. I'm curious to see how the audience likes it or not.
I just came to the realization why I'm single. Every guy that I'm like, oh yeah, he's attractive. Okay, this is not supposed to be offensive, but I see their wives and they just look like so like, you know, like not like this, just like, you know, like I pretend my tattoos are gone. Dude, I look crazy. Like, that's why guys don't want to wife me up. And I just come to this realization today. See? Or maybe it's because all of them see me eat sushi after I get out of the grocery store in my car with my bare fingers and drink sweet tea. Guys, I thought these men wanted, like, you know, big, strong, tough girls. I don't know. I feel like all of them are, like super girly, and all these guys are like, yeah, that's my girl. She's, like, housewife stuff. And I'm over here, like, I own my own business. I'm covered in tattoos. I'm a little spazzy, but that's okay. We embrace it. But yeah, I don't think any guy's gonna wife me up because they can't take me seriously. And I just realized that. Damn.
That's sad. She seems like she's intelligent, beautiful, funny. Someone you would want to at least go on a date with because you know you'd be fun and laugh, get some laughs. I don't mind tattoos. I'm not big. I don't like them. It doesn't matter. It's just a preference to me. It doesn't matter one way or the other to me. I don't want my wife to have tattoos, but I don't really care. But I found the whole video fascinating, but the last 10 to 15 seconds was, I thought, powerful because she paused and you could see everything, the truth flooding into her brain all at once. We've all been there. We've all been propagandized, lied to, and then when the truth hits us, there's that moment of complete stunned disbelief, like, oh my gosh, what? And she had that moment right there. that she can't get wifed up. I just found this other video. I found it fascinating because this one of these guys, these people go around talking to women and ask them about what does a man need to make and what are you looking for? And it's depressing. I mean, I thank God every day I'm married and found my wife, because I would hate to be out there. Oh, dear Lord. These women are delusional, especially the young women, about life and how much things cost and how much a man should make. And I mean, it's absurd. It's fantasy land. But I came across this video after watching the woman that I just showed you. And I was like, oh, this is refreshing. A beautiful young woman with a baby on her hip, she has to be in her 20s, and has a grasp on life and what's important. Watch this video. It's fascinating.
What's your age?
22.
Are you single?
No.
How long you had a man?
5 years.
And how long have you had a baby?
He's almost 2.
Was it with him or with somebody else?
Him.
So how much does he have to make to take care of you and your daughter?
At least $1,000 a month.
$1,000 a month?
Food, groceries, car insurance, diapers, wipes.
Now, how much would you say a man has to make annually to take care of a family of 3?
Annually, overall, at least 30 grand a year.
On just a baby? Or
Every expense you would need for a stay-at-home mom and a child.
but if he's spending $30K a year on both you and your daughter, how much more would he need to make to live comfortably?
Oh, we are comfortable. That's comfortable.
So a family of 3 could survive off of just $40K a year?
Yeah. It's just not going to be a lavish lifestyle. But this economy sucks.
So you just make it work?
Yeah.
We just make it work. Wow. All you dudes out there, that's the woman. That's the target right there. That's the target. That will love you, support you. You bust your hump to provide, and you do the best you can. That's it. That's it right there. And all you women watching, that is the mark to hit. Not some businesswoman drinking sweet tea in her car, crying about not being all wived up. There's nothing wrong with a baby on your hip. Nothing at all. I find that absolutely beautiful. Absolutely makes a woman even more beautiful than she is. Just is. Why do men want that? Men want that because it's peace. It's security. That they know they have a beautiful wife that they will go, and a daughter, and they will go to the ends of the earth to provide for and work his ass off for you. Because you are not a dumpster fire. In 3 days, Donald Trump becomes president. There's a pastor named Pastor Brandon Biggs. I'm sure you've heard of this man. He is the guy, the pastor, that saw a vision from God 3 months prior of Trump being assassinated or attempted to be assassinated. And he detailed it down to the absolute minute detail, and it freaked people out. Let's watch this.
All throughout, and I saw Trump rising up, and then I saw an attempt on his life. This bullet flew by his ear, and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum. And I saw he fell to his knees during this time frame, and he started worshiping the Lord. He got radically born again during this time frame. I'm talking. People say he's saved now, but he becomes really on fire for Jesus, for what I saw coming.
What is he saying now? I would love to hear it. It's like listening to Alex Jones talk about 9/11 before 9/11 happens, to the minute detail. Like you can't even conjure that up in your brain on September 10th. So in July, Trump gets attempted assassination. So in April, he comes out with this. And to the T. And he says in this article that I have in front of me, as well as what he said, that Trump fell to his knees and he became not just born again, but he became solidified in God. I believe that. I absolutely do. But what does he say is going to happen? And people are very nervous about this. I'm going to read it as fast as I can. He's talking about a vision that he has. I saw massive dump trucks with separation in the back of these dump trucks, separation with 50 20-gallon drums, all filled with different chemicals to make what happened in Oklahoma City back in the 90s. This happened in the 90s. It was a massive thing, not black powder, but fertilizer stuff. I saw fertilizer in a big dump truck. The dump truck was like a big diesel. They looked like construction workers. They had purchased a massive construction vehicle like a dump truck thing. He's talking about his vision. He continues on. They put all of this in so they would cause a major catastrophic event. They made the front of it armor-proof, bulletproof. They could not shoot it. They could not make it stop. Very, very strong armor was on the front of this trunk underneath it. It wasn't able to be really seen well. I saw these men, and this is going to be a lot different places. So you have to not just, so you have to just listen to what I'm trying to tell you. I saw these men with vests on in the front cab of the truck. Vest on. They had explosives on the vest. There were two men in the truck. They took the truck and they used it to go through police barricade and military barricades in Washington, D.C. And when they did this, they tried to stop them. But because they were trying to do it at a checkpoint to stop them, they pushed through the barricade because the truck was very strong. And he finishes. Then they got them. They surrounded them. They ignited their vest, and they took out everybody. When this happened, it was a massive crater in the earth, in the ground, and all the buildings were completely wiped out. And they tried to get as close as they could to the Capitol. I saw them trying to get as close as they could to the Capitol, to landmarks in Washington, D.C. That's the man that predicted and saw the vision of Donald Trump being assassinated. Get on your knees and pray for the safety of the man that God has chosen to lead the United States of America.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Would you like to gain access to over 20 years of my radio shows, TV shows, my books? I've written 15 books, and most of those books are ebooks now. And we have conference DVDs, conferences where we filmed our conferences at the Ozarks, literally starting 20 years ago. It's all available in our archived vault. All you have to do is go to worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and for a reasonable monthly fee, you gain access to over 20 years of Christian worldview programming, news, information, books, documentaries, and a powerful search engine. And folks, it's a great way not.
All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. One of our listeners, Rich, just emailed, said, nice recovery, excellent recovery, counseling me versus nagging. Great recovery, House. All right, thank you. I'm glad you noticed. Hopefully she wasn't watching. All right, joining me now is the man you just saw, Dr. Mark Lucky. Dr. Mark, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. You know, you and I have something very much in common and alike. Both our wives are always right.
They are. She is always right. She's smart. She's very, very